Call the meeting to order. It is the mission of Montague Area Public Schools to educate and inspire all students to become motivated, articulate, productive, and successful citizens for today, tomorrow, and forever. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 3 on the agenda is roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Here.
Mr. Ray?
Here.
Mrs. Dahl? Here. Mrs. Francis? Here. Mr. Johnson?
Here.
Mr. Weisheisen?
Here.
Ms. Newbauer?
Item 4 on the agenda is approval of the agenda.
Support.
Moved by Scott, support by Tom. Discussion.
I would like to make an addition to the new business. I apologize for not going ahead of time, but I would like to add a new business M, and that would be consideration of approving club sports for district recognition, with a suggested motion to approve district club sports being recognized for participation and achievement through the district, throughout the district.
Okay, when we get to that,
I will
you have to remind us.
read,
Yep.
right?
Yep. Okay, so do we need a motion to add that item, or are we good? Yes.
Need a motion to that.
So moved by Tom, support by Joel. We didn't approve the first motion.
Oh, we could
You could still approve this.
Okay, yep. All right, so any discussion on item M? Okay, all those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. Now back to approval of the agenda. Any other additional discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 5 is a consent agenda. Moved by Tom, support by Scott. Discussion.
Just a special thank you, Hannah Harris, as she's a new mother and looking to stay home with her child. I would wish her the best, and thank you, Gary Plickton, her good year. As mentioned, we'll be doing some subcontract with her as well.
Okay. Yes. Safety fund. Is there any money in it, or is it supposed to be from safe?
It is,
Or was that we just didn't spend any of that?
we just did.
Okay, thank you. Any additional discussion? All those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item 6, public comment portion of the meeting. Public comments will be accepted at this time. Each statement shall be limited to 5 minutes in duration. Participants shall direct all comments to the board and not to staff or other participants. The board welcomes public comment, but does not respond to citizens' concerns at its meetings. At the citizens' request and the board's direction, the superintendent or designee will respond in a timely manner. This meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not considered a public community meeting. We have two people on the list. First up, Bart. For public participation. This is our list, right?
Oh, I'm sorry, I just signed that thing.
Oh, okay.
You don't want to
You don't want to talk?
Sorry.
The floor is yours, buddy.
No, I got nothing to say.
Okay. And then Amy?
Oh, I just did the same thing.
Okay, so-
I found it later.
Awesome. Okay.
Well,
So-
thank you for being here.
So anybody that wants to have public comment that didn't sign the list. All right, thank you guys. On to item 7, reports.
All right, superintendent comments. As you can see, there's a few support staff hires as we're moving into a new school year. Christopher Abeg will take on the position of a girls varsity soccer coach. He is a teacher outside of our district, but at the Nuevo Risa. He has previous coaching experience in soccer as well. Krista Yeager, JV sideline cheer coach and high school LRE aide. She was a lunchtime in LRE aide at the middle school years ago, but she does have some experience both in the MVC cheer and the previous Parapro world. We also have a new RO ELL aide. We are very happy to have her with her translating experience. RO Title I aide, being Megan Plummer, previous youth experience in her work previously. Kelly Schilling, MAC Title 1A, previous school experience as well. And then Rich Hoffman, a cook, was a kitchen manager and plenty of food experience for the district as well. A couple other things I'd like to point out. We're moving really quick on the start of the school year. So on the 20th, we're going to have a new teacher orientation, pending some of your approvals later in the meeting. Opening day for all staff is 8/21. That is that Wednesday. We would love, and we'll put an email out to you, but we'd love for you to be there if that works for you. And we'll have Brent give a little opening speech if he can make it. Otherwise, he can film one as being the tech savvy guy he is. Or we don't have to have that either. But PD staff the next day as well, that Thursday the 22nd. We actually had a great meeting with a group of staff to help start that planning process, and the administrators will finish that off later this week to make sure that we have a great professional development for those first 2 days. The 26th, being the start of school, is coming real quick. Today started the sports seasons here in at least the high school level. The middle school will be shortly after. And our parking lot, we're a little behind on our parking lot, but it will be being paved later this week. It was supposed to be paved for today, but yet it's a little behind on some of the concrete work, which has then created an issue for the asphalt paving. So hopefully that'll be done here, barring any rain on Thursday, but before Thursday, Friday, if there's a rain date, if anything happens on that. So we should then work our way into a parking lot, and the striping will take place after that at some point. And that is it for superintendent comments and reports.
Awesome. Item 8, new business. Item 8A is consideration of approving building handbooks. Suggested motion to approve the 24-25 handbooks for MHS, MBC, RRO, and the MAC as presented. So moved by Tom, supported by Joel. Discussion.
So I did send a term legal stance as to the equal education opportunity statement there. We did, as I stated, make one small tweak, and we will put that with the Title IX section. Just makes sense as there is a correlation in that. So within each handbook, and the high school is now the same as the other 3 because there was some discrepancy around that as well. It will be the same. It will be under that Title IX section. And the only other, there just was a small grammatical change to language to say as defined in relevant and applicable statutes and regulations. So that I think that offered some answers to some of the questions that were probed previously on the handbooks.
Was the policy committee, I mean, are you guys all good on that?
We discussed
We
it.
didn't discuss it.
Didn't write books? Okay.
Not
Not a policy item?
No.
Okay. Any additional discussion on the handbooks?
I do have one question, and we talked about it before in the past, and it was an issue in the past, but the high school handbook, board policy 771, use of breath test instruments. Where's the drug test stuff? I'm not saying I'm going to turn it down for it not being in there. I just think the policy crew needs to talk about that and get it added.
Just above it, it says drug-free school policy, and it labels off the drug that the way to test for it. Is that alcohol?
Just a thought. So Tom, what you're saying is it's in the policy, but it's not in the handbook.
How to test it.
How to test it.
How to test it.
And so the board
Yeah.
policy should look up if we need to be adding that. So
I mean,
I'll
we're
take that
testing for
note to
alcohol.
say.
If we suspect someone's under the influence of alcohol, we're going to have someone come in and administer a breath test. If we suspect someone's under the influence of drugs, what do we do? There's nothing that provides guidance for that. I think if you're going to have one, you should have the other. If you're not going to have the other, you shouldn't have either.
Okay, so it's alcohol is in the policy, drugs is not in the policy at all, or in the handbook.
Testing.
From a
Testing.
From a testing standpoint.
Okay.
And you're telling us from a professional standpoint, there are adequate ways to do
Yeah,
drug
you could
testing.
get over the counter or occupational health or law enforcement or other means. Just a thought.
Yep.
Okay.
I do think it would need to go policy-wise.
Right, that's why I'm
Prior to
saying,
that.
Prior to hand.
that's why I suggested the policy.
Yep, yep.
Okay, discuss it.
Was there any reason why that might have been left out, Jeff, that you can think of? Anybody on the policy committee that?
So it's, I guess, sorry, it's never been that way, right?
Okay,
But the testing of substances now, I will say, is probably increased to be more, have more validity. I think one would say, under drugs, you could test positive and not be under the influence at the same time, which creates questionable ability to test. And I'm not saying that I disagree, I think it should be brought to policy. I know that we had some talks around that with our athletic programs, which did create some, and I had some discussions with that superintendent as well, and I did, but I didn't.
so if I'm hearing you right, what you're saying is if somebody per se smoked marijuana, 3 weeks prior, if they were suspected and got tested in the school, they wouldn't be under the influence currently, but they would possibly test out. Is that what you're saying?
That one could make that call.
Okay. All right. Okay. I think definitely something for the policy committee to take on.
And I think when we think of it as a extracurricular team or a sport, or whether there's policies around that, I think that's even different than like in the classroom.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Okay. Any additional discussion or comments on the handbooks? All right. All those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item 8B, consideration of approving the MCBA course catalog for grades K through 12. Suggested motion is to approve the Muskegon County Virtual Academy course catalog for grades K through 12. Moved by Scott, supported by Tom. Discussion.
So these are the courses that are offered by the Muskegon County Virtual Academy that we partner with. This was originally put together by the county superintendents and group as a whole when we were going through some of the COVID work coming back, that there was needed to be a lot more virtual options. So in that process, ISD put together this county virtual program. Since then, it also, when we thought about maybe abolishing or taking away that academy, there are many virtual academies that are popping up, and they're taking students away from some of the public education. And why should we have that same option, where then at least we can retain some of those funding dollars? That would be attached to that. So, but there are other classes there for you to see. Just so you know, we did have 2 elementary students in the MCBA, 10 NBC students, and 5 high school students.
Any additional discussion? All those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item 8C, consideration of approving out-of-state conference for Dan Gorman. Suggested motion is to approve the request for Dan Gorman to attend an out-of-state conference from November 3rd to November 6th, 2024. Moved by Scott, support by Tom. Discussion.
So obviously with Dan, and nice job that he does get some national recognition. This is a International Food Manufacturing Association conference. He has gotten his registration and all lodging paid for during that time, so we would just need to pay for the airfare, possibly some meals or parking on the way to and from in that process. And we do feel that he gains a lot of information and contacts as well the food service industry on his travels.
Jeff, when you, so you say incidental costs, and again, I'm just asking a question, you guys have a process where he submits how much he thinks it's going to cost, and then you guys approve that.
Yep, he put in an estimated cost of $100 for meals, $75 for parking and tolls, and the airfare of $550.
every day?
So,
That's pretty cheap.
well, a lot of the food is at the actual conference, which will be covered. So that's part of his grant that he won, and got in that process. So this would be kind of this from that process. And then everything has to be submitted to Stacy on an itemized list with the receipts, or else reimbursement can take place.
So we're looking at $500-600 for this.
Just estimate at 600.
Probably comes out of blue goes down.
Yep. All right. Any additional discussion? All those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8D, consideration of approving Kaya Green as the new RRO elementary teacher. Did I say that name right?
Yes, you did.
Awesome. Suggest a motion to approve Kaya Green as the new RRO elementary teacher. Moved by Scott, support by Tom. Discussion.
All right, as you see, we'll have a couple hirings here, but Kaya is a recent CMU graduate. This will be her first year in teaching, but she did impress the interview committee. She will be a 5th grade teacher this summer.
Any additional questions or discussion? All those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8E, consideration of approving Samantha Andres. Is that how you say that?
Yes.
Man, I'm 2 for 2 tonight. As new RRO elementary teacher. Suggest a motion to approve Samantha Andres as the new RRO elementary teacher. Moved by Scott, support by Tom. Discussion.
Samantha comes to us with 2 years experience here at Orchard View Schools. She taught in elementary there, and she will be filling the 1st grade teaching position.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8F, consideration of approving Josh Geldersma. Am I 3 for 3?
You are.
Yeah.
Perfect.
As a new secondary science teacher. Suggest a motion to approve Josh Geldersma as a new secondary science teacher. Moved by Scott, support by Tom. Discussion.
So this is a 1-year contract for Josh in the physics chemistry role based upon our leave of absence roles previously for Chelsea Vetter. He does come to us, and we're extremely excited about this with teaching experience. He's from the Jackson area. He's trying to move back to West Michigan, him and his wife, and we think we found a good one here. So that hopefully there might be other positions that he could work his way in after that.
Awesome. Any additional discussion? All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item 8G, consideration of approving Sarah Curtis as a new speech pathologist. Suggest a motion to approve Sarah Curtis as a new speech pathologist. Moved by Scott, support by Tom. Discussion.
So Sarah comes to us from the Eaton RESA, within ISD, if you will. She does have school district experience. A lot of that was through the RESA, but around the Lansing area. She has 10 years of experience in that role, and we're excited to have her. So she'll be at the lowest elementary levels of speech instruction.
Okay. Any additional discussion? All those in favor?
Yes.
All those opposed? Motion carried. Item 8H, consideration of approving Alyssa Goricki? How do you say it?
Yep.
I'm
I'm gonna do my
All
best.
right. I'm going with Gorick.
You should know this. She was a student teacher here let's go first. Sorry.
Okay. Consideration for approving, the suggested motion is to approve Alyssa Gorick as a new secondary English teacher. Moved by Scott, support by Tom. Discussion.
So she did do her student teaching here at 9th grade English with Ms. Phipps. She also did a long-term English substitute for, she was 8th grade for Ritter of the graduating 23 class, if I remember correctly. She does have some teaching experience at Fremont High School, and then got her master's in technology and educational technology, and she thought she'd go get into that world a little bit and work for a private company working around educational technologies, but she has now decided to go back into the teaching. She is currently moved here into the Montague area, and her dad was a Montague area. So that's awesome.
Any additional discussion? All those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item 8I is consideration of approving Kelly Hall as transportation director. The suggested motion is to approve Kelly Hall as a transportation director. Who got that one? Scott, motion, and Tom, support. Discussion.
So Kelly Hall is current driver in clerk transportation for us. She is a Montague graduate as well, a parent in the district. We would like to move her into that transportation director role. We've talked with Carrie Plichta, former transportation director, who would love to see Kelly in this role and be able to provide tutelage. And we'd look to contract with Carrie, at least definitely for the first half of the year, up to around 10 hours, to make sure that Kelly has a great transition to this transportation director role as things worked very smoothly last year.
Any additional discussion?
Struggle keeping people and getting people for this role. Is this is the person?
One would say that over the last 30 or 31 years, we've only had 3 people.
Right.
But we did for a 1 year.
Awesome.
Yes, correct.
So-
So we had a great one. I will say that in this hiring of her role of that clerk of transportation, we're going to make it more of a dispatcher role, which will provide more hours to her as well into that role, which will allow for a transportation director, not that they're not ultimately in charge of all situations, but be there from 6 in the morning till 6 at night every single day. And then be on call for the other buses that come rolling into the 10 o'clock. So we've tried to provide a little extra support. We did offer that to Carrie as well as she was looking to part ways. It really just came down to her grandchildren were right around the corner, and that wasn't too far. She couldn't go home during the middle of the day. That would provide somebody that is here locally, like Bob did, or that Kelly did as well.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we get somebody who'll stick around. I don't know her
Correct. I would think that
personality, the rest of it. So if we're right to hire and good, it's
correct.
Any additional discussion? All those in favor?
yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item 8J is consideration of approving the purchase of a bus from Holland Bus Company. Suggested motion to approve the purchase of a bus from Holland Bus Company in the amount of $125,454. Moved by Scott, support by Tom. Discussion.
So as you can see, there were 3 bids that we did take in from Hoekstra, Holland Bus Company, and Midwest Transit. This being the best price in that. I also did want to take note, and I know that we had in the past bought some, not our last bus, but the ones previous to that, we were buying off a 3-year lease, which we thought was a good option. But at this point in time, there's not that option to even look at because they're not there, and there has not been the leases. And usually, what will take place if there are leasing opportunities, those same districts will just buy it at that point in time. As they were working the lease and buy it themselves, so it never even gets an opportunity to go on. So we always keep our eyes open for that. As we do have a plan, we'd like to keep that buying of 1 bus each year in that process. So if one does come up, it might be something like, hey, this one we do want to buy an extra one, but then we'll buy one next year.
How many buses do we have?
So we had 16, we'll have 14 at this point with this purchase because we'll sell 1, correct? 14? 16, not 14.
I know we got rid of 2 this summer.
Correct.
So if we life cycle 1 every year, our oldest bus is going to be 13 years old?
Eventually, we're still working off of our, we're at about 26 years.
Do they last that long? I guess that's where I'm going. Is that
We did have, yes, and one would say that maybe some of the newer models might not last as long as some of the older, but I do think with the bus garage that we have and the washing
Indoor storage.
fire, indoor storage, the mechanic work that we do on it, has allowed us to keep buses for 20 plus years, which is kind of unheard of in other districts. But the idea would be that we're more than that 14, 15 year model because we were paying a lot of little extra money just to keep them up and running appropriately because that's our equipment.
Okay. Any additional discussion or questions?
Funding wise for this, we're in the grants is just as earmarking our
Just a
budget.
general fund purchase that we've been kind of putting in the budget. We know we were saving up and trying to, once we decided, we kind of went through a plan because it was becoming a problem. So we're just trying to work through there. There are some grants out there around electric buses and some other components around as they're looking at differences between gases and diesels, but at this point in time, we're going to continue to go with
That's our fleet.
That's our fleet. And this does fit right in with our current fleet, which we've now, I think, done a pretty good job of making sure we have parts necessary for the buses. So,
Okay. Any additional discussion?
So sorry, I just want to make sure like, our budget supports this purchase.
Stacy, our budget
I
supports
put,
us.
I put
That was already
money in the budget, and this is
We already
coming,
approved, yes.
and this is
It's fine.
coming in under budget.
Perfect. That's all I just wanted to get confirmation.
That's a good question.
All right. All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item 8K is consideration of approving marketing contract with CatchMark for the 24-25 school year. The suggested motion is to approve the 24-25 marketing contract with CatchMark Technologies in the amount of $14,400. Do we have a motion? Moved by Scott, support by Tom. I am going to recuse myself from voting or commenting. Any questions? Amy Youngman is here from our office to answer any of the questions that we have. So discussion.
So I do think that that's important just to make sure the neutrality of this, and Amy is here to answer additional questions that I might not be able to answer. But this does provide it's the same marketing opportunity for us, or communication marketing for the district of our students and staff, I would say, is what we did this past year. Christy Bowman and Jay Mulder put together a wide variety of individuals to showcase throughout the district. They feel that this could be beneficial for another year as they continue to try to find more ways to get student involvement of creation of the videos. This does provide us with 18 different videos, is what we had last year, and there's some tweaks around end of the year season stuff, but that doesn't really affect us too much. The idea is that we're showcasing 18 different opportunities for the district. This is, I guess I've not had a negative comment around the videos or the from students or parents. I think they enjoy them. I think really it's just trying to have videos that encompass more students, and so I think that was one of our pushes last year, was to not make it all just sports, and that is still a part of what is taking place. But if you had the opportunity to see some of we had some staff videos, we had some art video, a band video, our writers club, and I'm blanking on the name of that, but the different clubs that we have, I thought they did a nice job of that, and they'd like to continue to move forward in that, but then really trying to create enough interest amongst the students to create our own class around digital media and work, and not to say that we still might want to have some partnering of CatchMark, but where that we can have more students doing our stuff rather than paying others to do that in classes. So, I guess those are my comments. Any other?
Bid this out? Is there other companies that do this?
I'm
Just
sure.
curious, is that-
So I don't really know, not specifically like this. I had met with a couple Rebel on a ski game, and their numbers to do Rebel.
Rebel, they're right downtown.
Right downtown
Chambers,
there. Bisecki is the owner, is who I met with, and theirs was not specifically more like this with students. It was more of communications and marketing of the district as a whole, and their numbers were into the 30,000 plus range. But this was also pre-COVID, so I don't know, and I guess I don't know a company that does what is here. Now, is there a company that could? Maybe, but I don't know how you did that specifically. Good question.
Well, I wouldn't bid for the same. I guess the question is, if we approached CatchMark and said, this is what we'd like, and CatchMark approached us and said, we have this opportunity for you. So if we wanted to go out to bid, we'd say somebody else. If a struggle with giving somebody else's recipe to say, hey, go bid what they're doing. But if we're saying, hey, we like this, we want to bid it two places,
I know what it
I
is.
feel like that's a pretty valid thing to do.
Yeah.
From just making sure we're doing it. I know that we've done this in the past. We've checked in, we've looked at some of it in years past, and it's shown to be cost effective.
Yes.
So
I guess to answer your question, no, I didn't. my assumptions without a doubt is that it would be double of this cost.
I get it, they're local, I'm just curious, I just
Yeah.
throw it out.
And I also, this isn't really, this is not something normally we would bring to the board. The only reason we're bringing it to the board is because we're on something.
And we believe there's a benefit to it,
We do.
and is it measurable? Have we had anybody come to us in enrollment say, we saw this and we really loved it, we saw it on social media and it sparked an interest for us?
That's why we chose Montague.
That's why we chose, like, if it gets us
I
one
have
FTE,
not
that's
received,
an
I've
easy one.
received emails that they enjoyed our work with CatchMark, but not saying I came to Montague because.
Not necessarily because of, but like
I think it
That'd be
can
one that could say, hey, how'd you hear about us? It's one. And then I guess the other one, it's not just 18, I read it's 18 times 2. There's 18 videos or like sport highlights, profiles, and there's 18 athletes or individuals. And ask you.
Yeah. it's-
18 media days throughout the
18
year,
media
so 6
days,
every
which would be,
season,
and then 18.
and then 18 profiles.
Right,
Yeah.
okay, so there's 36 items.
Correct.
Any idea that that the profiles have received any benefit, tuition, scholarship, opportunities that we'd say this also has a measurable benefit to the?
I do have one, but I don't know if I'm supposed to say.
Oh, don't talk.
Okay.
I can say yes.
Okay.
Without a doubt. I think the videos that have been created are shareable. I know that even other districts, they were used for scholarship opportunities as well, and I know two in another district that it was used. I would say my own personal knowledge of the video and how, it's a tough tangible to say, yes, that's exactly what did it, but it doesn't help with that. When interest is shared around communication, and part of me doesn't get it, but around the social media world, things blow up, which gets more people interested, which then coaches look at, and then they now have an understanding. So there is a piece of that.
Okay.
And I would say there'd be at least 6 to 8 parents around that scholarship idea, or at least interest to playing at a next level was seen, the videos were seen by them.
Who are some of the other districts that utilize CatchMark?
Well, depends. Whitehall would be the one that has looked into this contract as a whole. There's other districts that will then, and Amy, correct me if I'm wrong, that's the only one that's went into the contract, right?
Yes,
Gus?
for a
But
whole year.
there's plenty of districts that you'll see have worked into select media days for specific teams or
Yep.
for specific.
Well, I guess my question is there other districts that utilize, how many contracts do you have with other districts? And if you were to offer,
Can they tell us that? Is that
Yeah.
something that they can?
Very generic.
We have done this for other schools, yes.
One.
No.
well, I'm just curious as to what are other districts doing, because you see,
So the other option that we've seen into other options is 2 other.
let me rephrase the
Districts.
question, can I rephrase the question another, it's your question. Yeah, it's my question, so.
That would be interrupting.
For the districts that don't have a visual arts program, which would probably be the larger districts, like, Shores, Reese Buffer, stuff like that, Ludington. I think even Hart has their own program, don't they?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, Jason's incorporating. How many contract those services out to either CatchMark or Acme or whoever? Or don't you know?
So I still think they do specific videos with companies. They also, at least in the bigger ones, being Reese Buffer and Mona Shores.
And I'm not trying to throw them under.
And I shouldn't say their names either, but other districts in the county, they have now hired a communications director.
So we looked at last year, it's $78,000.
Correct. And that is the other, Oak Ridge and Shores, that is, they've hired somebody and they oversee all of this. They do make an effort to try to get kids involved and use the classes, but then they're more than that too. They're more than just the videos. They're also, when there's a situation that goes on, superintendent says, hey, give me a statement that we should read, and it's typed up perfectly and sent.
So in the course of the events that are offered in the package, are those all scheduled in advance, or do you leave open dates, so if something like you just suggested comes up, you can say, hey, we've got this event going, can you come and take care of it for us? Or would the answer be, well, you've already got your 18 events scheduled for the year,
Yeah.
tough luck.
So we got a little slow go of it last year, so we didn't start right away. So there was, yes, plenty of opportunities to fill that in. I would say that we would want to schedule it a little bit earlier this year, but it could still leave the opportunity within breaking it up in parts of 3, right? Your fall, your winter, and your spring, to have an opportunity to like, hey, let's look at this. I think there's a timeline eventually where you have to say, hey, we got to get this last one scheduled. But we could leave some open opportunities that maybe then there's just one less thing that's scheduled. So yes, that could be definitely an option. And it was this year, but it was more on our own doing because we started the process slow within the voting, and then by the time myself and I sat down with Christy and Jay to actually plan like what our vision was around it, and our conversations with the board, it really didn't get scheduled until I'm going to say November-ish, so we were already kind of behind, so we had some openings.
This,
Yeah,
not
I get
this,
it.
is, not this is a bad thing, it just seems like everything is centered around our sports and not, you know, the band or the FFA or the drama or.
Every one of them though had a video.
Yeah.
Bandit, all those ones
We
you
did a
just
really good
named,
job last year.
FFA, I really do feel that Christy and
I'll
Jay
eat my words
put
then.
a lot of time and effort. Your FFA had some work around
Yep.
that. Our band did, our visual arts, our writing club, and I still think there's more people that we can showcase as well this year.
Fair enough, thank you. Understand.
Any other questions? You were gonna.
I was gonna ask something, but at the same time, is you've answered the simple question of, do you think there's a cost benefit to it? Do you agree with the contract? This is like a good faith, so I'm like, you guys are all aligned with that?
I think for
Yeah,
us,
any other questions
and when
answered?
we look at communication and marketing of our district, just putting positive, I think so oftentimes schools, you hear all the negative things, where these are positive little snippets that we can promote, communicate, and market ourselves, not as in competition with other districts, but just say, hey, these are some good things that we do as a school district. I thought that it did a good job for us last year. And to say, looking at other companies of that, I think that we will look to make sure that we're not overpricing ourselves in future, but in my previous conversations, I don't see how we would touch that price.
But I do think going forward, it wouldn't hurt to spec.
Yep, for sure.
Only because you cover your
Yep,
expenses.
yep,
I'm not saying that's a bad price.
yep. No,
Yep, we got 3 bids, here you go.
yep, I don't disagree.
Any additional discussion or questions? All those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item 8I, discussion Neola policy, first reading, volume 38, number 1, February 2024, and special update June 2024.
So this is the first reading. Please take a look. Joel, obviously, the last minute changes with Karen and not being able to be on the policy committee, but Joel and I did run through each one of the policies, had some conversations. I will be looking into 2 possible changes, but I will make sure that I touch base with those as well. As you can see, most of this is just grammatical. They call it the technical correction. I feel like they are looking to just show their worth with Neola there, but at the same time, I don't see very many issues. We will be touching base around the reproductive health and family planning on banning, just keeping some of the language that they took out. They made some changes to it, but just making sure that there is one portion that we could leave in there, which would be there, and still be sending the other one. So I will have an update for that you as well. But I'll do that. Just look at it. Make sure you look to make sure there's no big, large components to the work as well.
So no vote needed.
No vote needed. Just first reading. We'll make a vote next month.
Any questions or comments on it? All right, on to item
I'm
8.
just gonna say, yeah, we did have a conversation about it, so we questions were answered, some stuff, as Jeff mentioned, he's gonna look into and check.
Okay. Thanks, Joel. All right, item 8M.
One more thing on that discussion. I will put a little cliff notes out for you too on Title IX
Okay.
components on those, because I know that is, it's even it's a big change. And it means a lot of different things. You hear things in the media about what it is and it isn't too, so I will work to give a little cliff notes version of what it is. The things that are there are legal, and that's why they're there, but I will give some cliff notes on that. So now on to M.
Okay. Item M.
Is the consideration of approving club sports for district recognition. The suggested motion is to approve club sports being recognized for participation and achievement throughout the district.
Support by, or moved by Tom, support by Scott. Discussion.
So we do have some club sports in the district, and many times it's whether their age is starting or it's the financial burdens that sometimes that those would provide for us. So we do have at the middle school level, we have softball, baseball, girls soccer, boys soccer, and sideline cheer that are club sports. And then we have our equestrian team here at the high school. And what we'd like to do within this motion is not to necessarily say that they are not still a club sport, because they are still a club sport, but we are honoring them as far as their achievements and district recognition. So in previous, we have 3 sport athlete awards. Well, if you were a part of a club sport, that didn't count. And I don't, with the time and the efforts and our connections now with the club sports and what they do, I mean, they still have their own rights and some work, but as close as connection that we do have with those club sports, I think that it's only right to keep the standards as far as their achievements are concerned. And especially as you get into the high school, there is one more middle school, it would be the junior high equestrian team as well. But as you're getting into that varsity, there is an association where it's at a state level, and we should be able to recognize them as our district and not as something.
So what do we consider them varsities? I guess,
Correct.
what's
So
the line of
we
delineation?
would
between
say
club
it's a
and-
varsity sport, correct?
Okay, so it would
Say.
no longer be a club sport?
It's still a club sport, but
Recognition.
recognition of varsity sports.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Are the requirements, what's the differentiation today between a club sport and a varsity sport? Or not even a varsity, a JV or a varsity? Like what's,
For us, it's the scheduling of events, which we work with the coach. It's usually our varsity coaches, to be honest with you, or those that are designated for that club sport, and it's the financial contribution for the materials and coaching. That's the only one.
so there's no coaching pay, they're not on schedule?
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
And the supplemental materials that we provide for all our for middle school sports, each team gets this amount of money, but for the high school sports, they get this, so that would be not as a part of it.
So really what we're doing is equal representation for the athletes that participate in those, and that's really the only change. Okay.
And it would be, those would be plaques, awards, letters.
If they were to win, the Montague, if that was the only sport they did was the high school equestrian team, they would get that. When we recognize the 3 sport winners, and that was what they did during the fall, there would still be a 3 sport winner. They could make our all academic teams, they could be a part of. Ludington has done a very similar.
Is there a requirement from involvement? So I think of a club versus a varsity sport.
Yeah, that's good.
Is one required, varsity basketball is 20 games and it's 3 months long. Is a club sport 3 weeks long? That's why is there apples to apples that way? I don't know.
So that is a great question. I know for the current club sports that we have, it meets the same timelines and the numbers. So for instance, at a middle school level, they're at, let's say 16 games over a 6-week period, which would be very similar to our other middle school sports. For the equestrian team, they actually have a full-out team handbook. I mean, the thing is, I mean, they have all the academic, they have to have a physical on file. It's all the same things.
Ability?
Eligibility is a part of that as well.
Is that a requirement for any club sport though? So, like,
So, no, it is not, but we have partnered our way into doing so because we had some struggles with some students, especially at the middle school level, that were participating in these sports, but academically and behaviorally they weren't doing it, so we had partnered with those sports, talked to the parents that they didn't want to do that. It is a gray area.
yeah, I mean,
but-
I'm just
yeah.
thinking, I think for some of the more established club sports that are more mature and from a maturity level, that makes a lot of sense. I'm just thinking about the slippery slope of, so I want to go start a club sport and, you know, whatever, you know, pickleball club sport or something, you know what I mean? And like, it's 3 people that participate. It's a club sport. Are they recognized as the same? Does that make sense? Like apples to apples?
I think
I would say we would then approve that club sport, you know, as being a club sport, which then would.
So there's requirements that the school has
Correct.
to do that. Oh, that's what I was getting at. Okay.
And from a cost standpoint, it's, I'll say inconsequential.
Yes, correct. Yeah. So I mean, especially looking at what their involvement, if there's a, and really, I think this is more for a high school equestrian team, to be honest with you. And I think
They're good, yeah.
They're good, right? And I mean, another one is you're in Ludington's gymnasium, they have their state championship matches. We wouldn't do that at this current point, the way that we recognize them, right? So that if they go and win a state championship, we could have their name there. And this, academically, they do a great job with the 3 sport athletes. And making sure that we're recognizing them.
So why do we need to have this at the board level? Does that make sense? Isn't this just something that you guys, athletic director? And, yeah.
Because it's not how we presented club sports previously. It's a change.
Okay.
Because we were having that full separation.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes total sense. Okay. Any additional discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item 9 is adjournment. Moved by Cindy, support by Tom. All those in favor? Yes. Meeting adjourned.
Any update on scoreboard?
The
We have